I am Jeff Prushko, Sales Coordinator with Videndum Production Solutions, and I am on Breaking the Biz podcast.
Stay tuned for today's episode of Breaking the Biz, an informative podcast where we dive into the world of entertainment by interviewing seasoned professionals who have made their mark in the industry. Gain invaluable insights as they share their personal journeys, offering advice on navigating the dynamic landscape of the entertainment industry. Whether you're an aspiring actor, musician, filmmaker, author, animator, or any creative soul, tune in for expert career guidance, insider tips, and first-hand accounts on breaking into the entertainment industry. Get ready to unlock the secrets behind successful careers and fuel your own passion for the limelight. Please remember to like this video and to subscribe to our channels for more great conversations.
Greetings from Breaking the Biz, brought to you by Yes I Can Unity Through Music and Education. I'm William Felber, your navigator through the intriguing universe of the entertainment industry, as revealed by the visionaries and creators who bring it to life. Stay tuned as we delve into diverse insights from the forefront of entertainment, hearing from pioneers, creators, and agents of change. Prepare for a journey filled with tales of innovation, resilience, and the undying quest for artistic brilliance.
Welcome to Breaking the Biz. We have Jeff Prushko, who is with Videndum Production Solutions for all content creators. Jeff is 33 years old and was born and raised in Connecticut. At birth, Jeff was diagnosed with arthrogryposis and has used a wheelchair since birth for mobility. He has worked other jobs, but had been at this job with Videndum Production Solutions and in the entertainment industry for over 10 plus years. Over the years, he's advocated for disability rights and tries to educate others where appropriate. In his free time, he enjoys video games, sports, and going to live music as much as possible. His customers include TV broadcasters, film studios, production, rental companies, photographers, independent content creators, vloggers, influencers, professional sound crews, governments, and enterprises. He designs, manufactures, and distributes high-performance products and solutions, including camera support, stabilizers, video transmission systems and monitors, live streaming solutions, smartphone accessories, robotic camera systems, prompters, LED lighting, mobile power, carrying solutions, backgrounds, audio captures, and noise reduction equipment. The company he works for employs around 1,600 people in 10 different countries and are organized in 3 divisions: media solutions, production solutions, and creative solutions. Jeff, I'm extremely excited to speak to you. You come highly recommended from an amazing individual and great friend, Peter. I'm just honored to have you with us on Breaking the Biz tonight.
I appreciate it. I appreciate the invite. I'm definitely excited to be here as well.
Perfect. So let's talk about it. When you were a little one, what was the dream job? When I grow up, I want to be.
So the dream job when I was a child was lawyer, constitutional lawyer to be exact. A lot of stuff happened in my life that shaped that. As I got a little bit older, career paths changed a little bit. So now I'm here.
Talk me through even a very specific type of lawyer. What was the inspiration there?
Just seeing kind of my own civil rights life, how rights have impacted my life at a young age, just trying, my family and I having to basically fight for everything. So that kind of shaped my view of being able to give back in that way. Would have been great. It was where that was shaped.
Okay. Talk me through first job.
First job was at a call center. I was doing sales and customer service. So customers would call in, either had a question, sometimes a complaint that comes with the job. and just general product questions for an online marketing company. So sell where I can, assist as customer service where I can, and just kind of go from there.
Okay. What's the next job? I imagine what you do with Videndum didn't come right away. What comes after that job?
So actually, after that job, it kind of came Videndum because it was actually when I was a little older. I was 19, 20 when I got that job at the call center. Um, there was some training in between, some internships, some brief job training in between, but kind of went from one to the other.
Okay. And when you interviewed at Videndum, did you already have experience with all of the different equipment and such that you guys work with?
No, actually, I had no idea that they were in the same hometown as me. It was actually very surprising to see an industry leader so close from my house. Like, I didn't realize that I interact with a lot of their products just by watching television. So that was actually really cool. And I actually did start as an intern there and learning products and selling products there. So once I kind of got that knowledge, I was able to grow in my role.
Okay, talk me through the importance of an internship. We have many listeners on our call who are, stepping foot into companies, getting that experience in many various different fields that actually really do interact with all of the different parts that you work with there at Videndum.
So I think there's a couple main things about an internship that I find most important. The first is confidence in being able to do a job. Um, being physically disabled and have some limitations, just being confident to say, hey, you know what, I've been here X amount of months. I could do this. Let's actually see if this could turn into something. And also, too, maybe the biggest thing is just getting a foot in the door, an opportunity. In between my call center job and Videndum, there was not even kidding, probably hundreds of interviews in between, and I could tell the tone on the call phone interview was a little bit different than when I would show up in the physical interview. So I think that was a little bit of a barrier there. But the main thing with the internship was really just the opportunity. I feel like that's the biggest thing.
And I have to piggyback off of that. I think that is one of the best things is when you can have an internship, you can most definitely show what you bring to the table, that you're bringing worth and value. And they've already spent that time training you within the products and you kind of already know how the structure of the company works. It's just really makes for a really easy get your foot in the door and a positive experience.
Yeah, my goal was really by the end of the internship, make them have a really hard time to let me go.
Okay. So I imagine you've got an amazing work ethic and you know the value you're bringing to the table.
Yes, and part of understanding the value of bringing to the table is having that internship and being successful at the duties and tasks that I was assigned. Um, at the beginning, I was just assigned to start to sell some batteries and chargers, and they were quite impressed with that. So I think that is what really was able to say, hey, you know what, this guy's really good. It would be a shame to let him leave.
Okay, I love it. Talk me through your educational background.
So I did graduate high school 2008. Did a little bit of college. I did a year of college. Took some time off to kind of find myself, find what I was looking for, kind of just reassess some things. And that is when I did start the call center job. And then I didn't really go back since.
Okay, no worries. Talk me through taking on diverse roles at Videndum. Looks like you have three different pathways, but you seem to work with a little bit of everyone. How do you approach when you're making a pivotal career decision once you have your foot in the door?
I think the biggest thing really is once you get your foot in the door is to just kind of be open. I mean, I've been able to use my life experiences to handle adversity. I actually think that's what makes hiring disabled people so valuable is they have had a lot of challenges in life and a lot of need to kind of do something unconventionally. So just having that, and it kind of takes a lot to rattle me just because I always say if the worst part of my day is a bad day at work, pretty good day. So, if you could just kind of take that attitude and continue with that, that's really the biggest thing.
It's interesting what you say there is true, right? Individuals with disabilities have so much that they have to get through already. You build that resiliency, you build those problem solving skills, and that is what individual companies are looking for, are people who can solve their problems, are people who are not going to give up, people who are really looking for an opportunity to shine. So I think the way you express that, I'd have to agree 100%.
Yeah, I mean, I even actually in an interview, because you always get the interview questions. Oh, tell me about a time where you faced a challenge and you had to overcome it. And sometimes I would just give an answer that was work related, but there was a couple times where I would give personal answers just to kind of feel out what would work, what wouldn't work in interviews. And I did have a potential interviewer say, hey, you know what? That's actually really cool and really valuable. And that's something that we would be looking for. It didn't work out to get the job, which is fine. But it's just the fact that they were able to recognize that and say, hey, you know what? We really do like that. That was really cool.
Give me, for our listeners who obviously there's tons of challenges when you go into a job interview. Those on the spectrum have sometimes a hard time with eye contact or the social interactions. What was that story that was personal that these individuals were able to empathize with?
Yeah, sure. So at my call center job, I was having issues with my van. I have a wheelchair accessible van to get to and from. And the van was going to be not working for a couple days. I had to go to the shop. And I couldn't really afford to miss time from work. So I ended up finding a van service that would take me to and from work. So that way, didn't have a van, no problem. Still got to work, still got the job done.
Okay. And obviously a great case of problem solving, but also adaptability, which is one of the top skills that individuals need to have to be successful, I believe, in the 21st century workforce.
Exactly. And not even just being disabled, just in general. I mean, the world it's a crazy place, as we all know. And you kind of don't know what you could be faced with when you wake up. So I think the biggest thing to being adaptable is just not overreacting to things, just kind of trying to keep an even keel and just approach things level-headed.
I can tell how level-headed you are when indeed you got those irate customers, because I know you get
Hmm.
those type of customers, especially in production.
Right,
There is if it's not a PA who's getting yelled at to go get the gear, you know what I mean?
right.
There's a lot of pressure, and in the end, it trickles down from the top. Money, time is money. How do you deal with those crazy customers that are screaming and deadlines? Obviously, your peaceful manner does help.
It does. But I also do try to also understand what you just said, that, hey, the person is probably not yelling at me because it's something I did, but somebody's yelling at them. There's a deadline. And also, I mean, this is people's livelihoods. So it's not like, if you miss a production, what's the big deal? It's, somebody didn't get paid. Somebody is not, when that trickles down. So kind of just having an understanding of what you are doing is really important. And kind of understanding why people would be mad is what helps me kind of get through it. I just say, oh, you know what? If I was them, I probably would be upset too.
Yeah, no, and I always talk about it that empathy is not something we're born with. You have to learn to be empathetic. You have to be able to put yourself in someone else's shoes. So, taking a step back and understanding that they're not really coming at you, that they have individuals who are probably coming at them. And if you were in their shoes, you too would be stressed out. So, a great way. Let me ask you, as far as you mentioned, you started off with batteries and those type of things in the early part of your internship. Obviously, you have stabilizers and camera and sound stabilizers. How do you stay up to date with the technology and the equipment that I imagine is changing every year?
Well, luckily, in the division I am, it's a little more narrowly focused, so we don't have to have every product encompassed, which is great. But I just really just try to follow the trends of the industry as well, and also just kind of stay on top of new releases internally in the business. Um, that's really like the biggest thing, and also ask questions. I mean, you're not going to know the answer if you don't ask a question. And I found a lot of people would rather you ask a question than try to think you know the answer and end up doing something wrong.
And that's a great answer as well, right? Like, especially when you're coming in as an intern, they're not expecting you to know everything. You're there obviously to learn as well. But even when you are in a level where you're overseeing different departments and people underneath you, it is okay to ask questions and you do not need to know everything. I liked how you mentioned, staying up to date on technology. Do you attend many conferences? Are you one of the individuals that go out and see what's the latest trend and make advice on what purchases are needed?
I myself do not go to the trade shows or exhibitions, but I actually supply our customers with the gear for that. So I know what they're going to be using. I know the application they're going to be using it for. So by doing that, I have a good sense of what is going to be going on. And also to the people that do go to the show do a good job of reporting back, hey, this person's doing this, this is what's coming out, this is what's on the horizon, stuff like that.
Okay. Do you need any certifications for the job you do?
No.
Okay. Um, Let me ask, how do you stay? So you mentioned staying relevant on your industry by, those people who are going out and reporting back what is exactly what's needed. Talk me through some of the challenges that you face at your job and some of the things that you just absolutely love.
We'll start with the things I absolutely love. I mean, what I do love about my job is the people. I do work with some really amazing people. Um, I also like how my job is actually very understanding of some accommodations, like, you know, uh, my car isn't working and I can't, somebody else can't just pick me up. Oh, you could work from home. Stuff like that's always great. But I also do love about my job when I see products that we sell in use. I will always pause the TV, call my mom, my dad, somebody in the room and say, hey, you see that light? That's my product or this or that. So I get a huge kick out of that, especially if it's something that I actually myself worked on. Like we said, a bunch of lights for New York Fashion Week this year, I think it was, for a image-based lighting setup. So getting to see stuff like that is the fruits of your labor, I guess you could say, is one of the things that I like. One of the things that makes it challenging, uh, I mean, not to get into too much of the nitty gritty, but supply chain issues are always there. That's always the thing. And also, as you all know, it's very deadline driven, and a lot of the times you don't. It's like, oh, something came up today. I need this Friday, and it's like, a lot more notice would have helped, but nobody knew until now. Anyway, something was going to happen. So I think that's the thing that would be the biggest challenge is deadlines, but not always knowing when things are going to pop up.
Okay. And let's talk about accommodations. Obviously, when you had your internship, they kind of already knew you and knew what kind of accommodations you needed. When it comes to an accommodation, do you feel that you should disclose the accommodations that you need before, or let's say it was a phone interview, would you then ask for the accommodations after the fact?
So I like to. I'm not one that has like a. I don't have a lot of accommodations that I need, so I try not to come with a list because I don't want to. Especially myself, I'm obviously disabled. Some people it's not quite as obvious, so I don't want to overwhelm somebody and say, okay, we got to bring on a guy in a wheelchair. He needs this. He needs that. He needs this. So I kind of just like to bring them up as I see them.
Okay. How do you maintain resiliency?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think part of it's just learning in life, going through things in life, and still coming out the other end. I mean, you kind of don't know how strong you are till you have to find out how strong you are. So I think kind of going through that is a way to stay resilient, but also having a strong support system to lean on. One of the best things in my life are the people around me, my family and friends who are always there to support me. So it's I don't have to go very far for support, and it's always, hey, we're here to support you. You know, you let it all out, but tomorrow you got to get right back at it. So that's always kind of been the motto, and that's just kind of who made me who I am today.
No, and then I obviously, when you face adversity, that just builds your character and makes you a strong person. So I absolutely love that. Talk me through how important networking has been to your success.
It's been very important. I mean, the more you get to know people, the more people could help. I mean, you don't know, not just help, but just also help you grow. The more you meet people, you could pick up on things within the industry. You could pick up on things within yourself. You know, you could just learn a lot from going around and talking to people and meeting new people, and you could get ideas about yourself that you might not have even known.
Okay. What are career aspirations? Do you see yourself continuing with Videndum, or are there other things that you want to tackle in your career?
I see myself staying for now. I do like the industry. I do like this type of work, business, customer relations, stuff. I like talking with people. So I do see myself continuing to do something along those lines.
Okay. What advice would you give for an individual who wants to build and leverage their professional network and wants to get into this field of, high-end equipment for movies, productions, etc.?
I would say don't be afraid to fail. That's going to happen in life no matter what you do. Um, don't be afraid to fail and just really keep keep a positive attitude. There's going to be things that are going to come at you that you could plan for, things you can't plan for. As long as you understand that, as long as you understand that most of the things you want to achieve are not going to be easy, if you could just understand that and keep that attitude, I think that really is the best.
Okay. I love that. And obviously you love the industry that you're working in. You gave that example of loving, seeing a certain light or knowing that your hands were involved in a successful production. If that's Fashion Week, if that's a movie or a music video being filmed. My question is, how do you balance your personal life and avoid that burnout and striking that balance?
What I make sure to do is when it's time to log off, it's time to log off. I don't, I try not to think about work after that. It's truly at this amount of time, my brain shuts off, and I got to focus on other things myself. Like, you can't burden yourself all the time with work. Um, so that's like the main thing I try to remember. And to avoid burnout, I'll just plan days off to just hang out and do nothing randomly. I find great solace in that. I really, some people I tell that to, and they're just like, really, you're not going to do anything? And I'm like, to not have to wake up at a certain time, be somewhere at a certain time, it's great. So really, I'll just take a random. Well, I do that a lot early in the month between holidays. I'll take a random Monday here, Friday there, just to give myself a long weekend to regenerate.
No, it's so needed. And I love that. Just some people don't know when you have a high demand job and you have all these expectations and especially deadlines, like you mentioned, it's so great not to have your own deadline, just to relax. And I know you mentioned that you love video games. We have a lot of gamers on this call as well. What are your go-to games? And what system do you use?
So I do a lot of Mario Kart. A huge Mario Kart fan. I looked at my Switch the other day. I have over like 400 hours on it. It's crazy. So that's a big one. A lot of the online stuff I do with my friends like that. And I do like some of the sports video games. I do have a PlayStation as well. So the Madden, basketball, baseball, football. all that stuff. Not so much like the competitive ones like Call of Duty or anything that's the controls are a little too much for me, but the other stuff I am into.
Yeah, no, I was never a Grand Theft Auto or the Call of Duty. Too stressful, right? Like you want to be able to just kind of escape a little bit with the video games and not get so like tense. I always saw myself getting so tensed with the Grand Theft Auto.
Well,
Um,
things could definitely get a little tense online with some Mario Kart.
yes, this is totally true. Um, my next question is, can you give a time where you were able to step out of your comfort zone for the sake of professional growth?
Um, yeah, I would. Let me think about this one for a second. I would have to say my first job, actually, it's going to sound funny, but I hated talking on the phone. Hated it. I hated to call people up first, like, would dread it. But I realized a lot of the other office type jobs would be really hard for me, like filing this or that. So if I kind of wanted to just get a job, I really needed to get better at that. So it's actually funny. The first call center job I had to call, like, they just gave me a 10-page list of numbers and said, here you go, call all these people. So that was uncomfortable for the first day, but it really actually shaped me being able to call anybody about anything now.
And obviously, when you do those cold calls, right, there's people who are like, oh, lose my number, or,
Yeah,
like, why are you bugging me?
yeah.
How do you deal with the rejection?
Again, I also just would put myself in their shoes. If I had somebody cold calling me, would I have that same reaction? Maybe, possibly, if somebody was calling me during dinner or something like that. So it's just understanding that, if you're going to do a job like that, you got to expect that to happen.
Okay. Um, Obviously, you're a very wise individual. What is the biggest piece of advice you would give to a younger Jeff?
Uh, just don't give up. Just keep trying. Um, it will be worth it in the end.
Okay. I love it. Um, what advice would you give to individuals who are looking to make a significant career change or pivot? Obviously, there's lots of times we stay in a job and we just get to that point where it's either burnout or you just don't like it. Not all of us are as positive and open-minded as you. What advice would you give to someone who needs to make that pivot and are afraid to?
Well, the first thing I would say is to try to avoid getting to the burnout. Check in with yourself. Say every so often, is this fulfilling? Am I okay doing this? Is this, am I really like a serious conversation with yourself? You have to really say, hey, am I happy at the end of the day? Is this something that I'm okay to do? And if you do want to move on, have a plan, and then have a backup plan, and have a backup plan to that. Because anytime I've tried to do something in life, the more planned out things were, just the better it worked out.
I like that. Having a plan to a plan to a plan. The plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D. And you're right, right? Like if you already kind of have where you're going to go with it, you can't really be disappointed because you already have the plan on what you're going to do next. And if that doesn't work, you have the plan that comes next, right? So I think that is honestly a great strategy.
I think so too. And I really, though, the checking in on yourself is huge because you don't want to find yourself one day just being like, man, I'm really unhappy. I'm really burnt out. And you don't want to feel helpless because if you feel burnt out, you could really feel helpless and stuck and not know what you want to do. So really the best thing you could do is try as best as you can to avoid getting there.
And speaking on that, obviously, you are very self-aware of yourself, your emotions, and what you need in order to be successful. When did you really fine-tune that skill of self-awareness?
I think a lot of it came after I turned 30. They say after you turn 30, you become like a better version of yourself. And I don't know how it happened, but I found myself being more confident and just kind of more self-aware in the things I need. I think it just comes with age a little bit, but also with experience and experiencing things and having honest conversations with yourself about, hey, this happened. Why did something happen? Good, bad, and different. Why did this happen? Could something better have happened? You know what I mean? Just really having an honest conversations with yourself about where you are is super important.
Okay. So obviously you have self-awareness, you have resilience, you're great at problem solving. You have to be able to communicate and work and collaborate with many other team members. What are the other top skills that you use on your day in and day out for your job?
Um, I think those are kind of all of them. I mean, I think the biggest thing for me is also too is relatability. If you could relate to someone, it kind of disarms them a little bit to the awareness that you're disabled, because some people do have I don't know what the right word would be, but they're a little apprehensive. They don't know how to approach. They don't want to say the wrong thing. You know what I mean? But I try to really relate to people. I try to crack jokes with people a lot. A little bit of disability humor, people talk about walking, you just make a funny joke about that, stuff like that, to try to just break the ice and kind of lower the barrier and just kind of just have people relate to you is really another thing that I do at work.
Okay. I love that. Let's talk about emerging trends or developments in your industry that you're aware of or that you need for future career planning. Obviously, AI is like that word of 2024. AI is coming. Does that affect anything that you're doing, or are you aware of being able to use AI for some of the products you're pushing out? Talk me through kind of where you see future products with the job you do.
Some of the stuff I see in the future, I see a lot of automated stuff, like you're saying. I see stuff being, whether it's artificial intelligence, whether it's voice automation or automated transcribing. I see that happening. I see a lot of push towards sustainability. So products that are more green efficient, I think, are something that's going to be on the forefront of things. There is a lot of talk about that is a popular topic with people, and it is, I think, a very pressing issue going on. So I think that is definitely something that's going to be looked at. How could you make a high-powered light per se that doesn't draw as much electricity, or what stuff like that? How could you, we also did come out with a generator that is sodium based instead of using diesel generators for productions. So I think that is a lane that the industry could be moving to.
Let's talk about that. Obviously, the gasoline is quite expensive when you have generators. We threw a big festival last year, and the amount of gas that we needed to keep the generators going. You mentioned what was the alternative?
It is a sodium-based generator. So you just charge it up, and once it's charged, you could just take it out into the field and run a bunch of lights, cameras, a whole bunch of products off of it.
And that lasts as long as a gas generator?
It does, and it's also much quieter too. So you don't have to keep it so far away from set.
So who was the one who created that? Because I feel like that's going to be, just like you mentioned, that's a disruptor in a positive way. It's a game changer.
Yeah, that came from actually the engineering team at my job. I don't know who exactly came up with that, but I agree. Once I heard that idea, I was just like, wow, I haven't heard anything like that. Anything I heard was big diesel generators, big, you know, noise making, fume pushing out generators. So to see something like that, it's actually, and to see it in person too, it's actually really cool.
Yeah, because at a festival, you have to have it, you have the combustion issues and you have to have all the fire hydrants around it. And then, like you mentioned, the noise pollution alone, having to have it so far away from the actual stage. So, yeah, that's a game changer.
I agree, and it's actually something that I was actually really excited to see, and I'm excited to see it gain traction and grow in the coming time.
And then obviously, well, like you mentioned with the light bulbs, LED was a step away, and obviously not as much energy is needed for LEDs, but there's going green. Is there something that you see next beyond LEDs?
I'm not sure because I'm not sure what. I mean, I think just making LEDs more efficient. I mean, every light that I've seen comes out, every new release, it seems to be more and more efficient with more and more output. So it's just seeing that grow until whatever the next technology would be after LEDs. I'm not sure what that would be, but seeing that LED lighting grow into higher output, more efficiency is something that I see happening.
Okay, I love it. So looking back on your journey, you started out at the call center. You've got 10 plus years with Videndum. What are you most proud? Like, what is the achieving moment, the apex of your job thus far?
Honestly, I think just actually being there for so long, one thing, because that means I'm doing something right. But also to just the fact that a lot of people in my job come to me for stuff just tells me that that I must be doing whatever they need. And so basically they see me as somebody who gets stuff done. So hey, you need something done, go to Jeff, do this, go to Jeff. So I do I do like that. I like being able to be the guy that could get things done. So I think that's really just one of the things that's the proudest thing is how hard it can be to get to work sometimes, but yet still do my job at a high level is one of the things that I'm most proud of.
Love that. Beautiful. Mentor. When I say a mentor, is there a mentor that comes to your mind that has helped you, with your success?
I wouldn't say just one. I try to take good and bad from people that I meet. So some people I take more good, some people more bad, kind of depending on the situation. But I really just try to learn from everybody I meet. I have known people who were disabled and also very successful. So that was great at a young age to see that and to say, hey, that can be done. That's not something that's out of the realm for somebody like me.
Beautiful. Is there a mantra or a philosophy that you find yourself stating that keeps you positive?
Yeah, it is what it is. That's something that I say a lot because sometimes you just can't change things. So you kind of have to know what you can change and what you can't change, and you really have to try to not worry about the things you can't. Not saying to not be upset about it, but you just can't let things like that consume you.
No, I think that's a very good point, right? We always want to control. I think that's the humans by nature, but you can't control how someone else reacts or what they do. You can only control yourself. So I think that it is what it is pretty right on and on point.
What I also try to remember too is kind of everybody has something. Everybody has their cross to bear, so to speak. So if you can understand that, I think that's really helpful in how you see and view people because you could understand, hey, you know what? I have bad days. Everybody has bad days. So just can't take things personal all the time too.
Yeah, being able to, and I think that's being empathetic and again, being relatable and understanding others are having bad days as well. So I love that. Self-awareness is on point. Your skills are on point. I can see why you are the get it done guy when they go to Jeff. Jeff, I want to thank you for your time. You are an excellent advocate, an excellent guest speaker, very knowledgeable. Self-awareness, like I mentioned, is so on point, and the skills that you use, we cover these 21st century career skills in our program, and it is beautiful to put it on display to show that with hard work, resiliency, being able to collaborate, and all of the things that you do, it's just proof in the pudding. So I'm glad that you were able to make time for us tonight. I look forward to possibly working with Videndum and seeing how we can get you guys as a sponsor on our next festival. Those generators sound amazing, and we definitely have some gear needs. So we will be reaching out to you because I know you are the guy that gets it done.
Of course, I look forward to it. And thank you so much for having me. I think this is awesome. And I look forward to more podcasts coming up.
As we conclude another enriching episode, we hope you found inspiration in the stories shared today. Let's take a moment to honor Yes I Can's role in bringing Breaking the Biz to life. Yes I Can's commitment to empowering young people with disabilities through education, advocacy, and mentorship shines brightly, paving paths of opportunity and dialogue. This podcast celebrates the organization's dedication to nurturing talent and facilitating impactful discussions. Breaking the Biz is more than a podcast. It's a part of Yes I Can's broader mission to amplify voices, dismantle barriers, and craft a world that's more inclusive and accessible for everyone. Each episode is a chapter in our shared narrative of progress, education, and empowerment, driven by the spirit of Yes I Can. Thank you for spending your time with us on Breaking the Biz. Continue to challenge the status quo and share stories that resonate. Until our paths cross again, let's keep transforming aspirations into achievements and infuse every endeavor with optimism. Here's to advancing the landscape of the entertainment industry, one episode at a time. I'm your host, William Felber. See you next time.